I got Monty here running the camera. I'm going to just show you what to look for. You want to freeze your meat just before you're about to grind it. You want to see ice crystals in it, and you want it to feel firm, but not too firm that it'll have a hard time going through your grinder. So this is just ideal. So I'm going to grind it right now, 20 pounds of meat. And if you're using a KitchenAid or a Bosch, you'd probably go a little smaller than that. Some of them will do it, but that's what you're looking for. You want nice firm meat when you put it through the grinder. So I'm going to start grinding right now and show you. All right. Fire in the hole. See, it's coming through just perfect. It's just the right texture. Won't clog up in your grinder this way, and you don't even have to push it with a stick. It just goes right through there like nothing. And you can actually see that the cold air coming up from there. So the colder the better when you're doing things. You want to grind this meat as fast as you can, and then get it back in the fridge ASAP, and then you got her made. And you're ready for the next step. This is what we came up with. 2 tubs ground up, 10 pounds in each tub. My digital scale, I just wanted to show you right there. If you zoom in on that, Monty thinks that's, it's going to say 1110, and that's because the tub weighs 1 pound 10 ounce, because I weighed it just before, and I weighed it thousands of times, even though I know that's the weight.
Although this one's actually 11.8.
Oh, this one says 11.8. Okay, you know what we're going to do? Watch this. What does it say now?
11.10.
There we go.
Oh, and then went back to 11.8.
Okay, that's close enough. It's tipping the scale, eh? And I just wanted to point out too, there's the old style scale that have been used for 100 years or more, and it works great too. So you don't have to have a digital scale. Just the digital scale, like Monty and I just demonstrated, is very, very accurate. And if you're making big batches, it's nice to have accuracy. So this is just a 20-pound batch, but it's still good to be very accurate. So,
and what kind of meat were we talking about?
oh, this is actually, thanks for asking, Marty. This is ground pork butt that I got from Costco. Pork or picnic you can use. It has just the right amount of fat. You don't want it too fat, but if it's too lean, it's not going to be good sausage at all. You'll be sorry that you did it. So.
What was the American word for that?
Oh, Boston butt. Boston butt is what the American people call it. That's kind of meat for sausage, for this kind of sausage we're making.
And what kind of sausage are we starting toward?
We're going to make Polish and Bratwurst.
Awesome. All right.
With the rest of the spices that I'm mixing for this project of mine. This is for the Bratwurst, and you can probably see in this bag already I got most of the spices mixed. But what I want to do, actually it's not mixed yet, what I like to do is when I put it in a bag, you can mix it very, very well before you add the rest of your ingredients. So I just wanted to show you it's a really good way to mix your spices and get a really good, even balance. So yeah, now that looks better, hey? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add the rest of the ingredients really quickly. And I just wanted to show you quickly the scale that I got from Rhonda, Monty's wife, and I just want to show you. Zoom in, thanks, Marty. That's we're going to weigh this spice in grams. Now, what I'll do is I will also show a recipe with tablespoons and teaspoons. But when I make sausage, I always weigh my spice just like the German people do, because you get way more accuracy. That's this way. So we're going to add. Can you see it, Monty? Where are we at? How many grams?
You are now at 52.7.
Okay, we're going to go to 80, so you let me know when we're getting close.
62, 65, 60, 70, 75, 7. Keep going. 78, 9, 78 point. Oh, there you go. 80 right on the nose.
Perfect. So if you weigh your salt is the most critical thing to weigh. If you don't weigh your salt, you can, end up with very, very salty sausage that is undesirable. So if you weigh your salt, you can always decide to cut back or add more. So 80 grams is a very good rule of thumb. This is a little trick I'm going to tell you. For 10 pounds of sausage, 80 grams of kosher salt is a really good rule of thumb when you're making bratwurst. So just a little tip there.
So if you want people to not ask you for your sausage, load a good batch with salt.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, you won't make many friends that way. That's maybe the good thing. If you don't want your company to come and take over your house. That's
right up there with make the bed uncomfortable.
That's it. So I'm going to just weigh up the rest of these spices, but I just wanted to show you it's a very good way to weigh your spice. I prefer weighing my spice to measuring. So just a little tip I give you.
All right.
All right, just going to finish up the sausage now. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you really quickly what I'm going to use for water. This is ice water that I stuck in a freezer, so get it nice cold water. What I'm going to use for the Polish is 3 cups of water, believe it or not. If this was deer, I'd probably only go 2, and there's a reason for that. Quite often deer are pretty watery when you first get them, but this pork has been aged enough that it doesn't have a whole lot of water left in it. So 3 cups works really well because of the mix of spice I've got here. And as you can see, there's 3 cups of water. And so I'm going to pour this in this bowl. This is going to be the bowl that once I'm all done with the mixing, the 10 pounds of pork butt are going to fit right in there, or pork shoulder, whatever you want to call it. So now what I'm going to do is the spices I've mixed up for the Polish, I'm actually going to add into the ice water. And I'm going to stir it. This is where a KitchenAid or a Bosch would come in really handy, but this is not hard to do. You can just do this with just a whisk. We got a bit of air conditioner going right now, so the powder is blowing a little bit around, but that's okay. So this is my ingredients, and the recipe I'll show you for this afterwards will have a lot of the same ingredients. I might have a few extra little tricks up my sleeve in this one that might not be in the recipe book, but this is a very good recipe. A couple ones I'll show you in the book. So for now, I'm just going to make sure this is mixed really good. And now, this is the garlic that Monty and I crushed up here. So there's 100 grams of this garlic going to go in 10 pounds. So if you're doing a 5-pound batch, you just go 50 grams. Just cut it in half. That's why I like the grams, because it's so accurate. And I'm going to just use my fingers because they're nice and clean. And I'm going to get all the good juices out of there that I can. I could use a spatula, but that's just silly. This should be good. That's plenty. And I'm just going to mix that garlic right into the mix. And then I'm going to stop mixing as soon as I know it's a good consistency. And everything's mixed good. And then what I'm going to do is just let that sit for a couple of minutes while I mix up the bratwurst. This is how we're going to mix the bratwurst. So you saw how I mixed the Polish seasoning with the ice water. We're going to do pretty much the same thing, but with bratwurst, real bratwurst, the German people always added eggs. And there's a reason for that. It helps it to stick together really good. And there's nothing like farm eggs to use. Like we have a lady that brings us fresh farm eggs every week, and you can't beat the farm eggs. I love them. And bratwurst is not, this kind of bratwurst, maybe it's not dietary, because I'm using real cream. We're talking about, serious cream. Most people just use milk, but Monty, I'm just not that cheap, right?
You want full fat.
Exactly. You know what? There's an old saying, never trust a skinny chef.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got that. can't open this, but I'm gonna just,
There we go.
There we go. We're gonna tear it open. So I'm gonna add 1 whole container of cream. So that is 473 milliliters. Basically, that's 2 cups. So you're 2 cups of fluid, and we're gonna add 1 more cup. So we're gonna add actually the equivalency of 3 cups, but 1 of the cups will be water. So I'm just gonna get that just right. There we go. Looks good. Add that. So now I've added my ice water, my cream, and so I'm just going to put this off to the side, get rid of my eggshells, and then we're going to mix. So I'm going to mix my spice in now. Now something that you could do that I really, really like, but I'm not going to do it this time because a lot of people, it's an acquired taste, but you could actually zest 2 lemons. So if you're doing a 5-pound batch, you'd zest 1 lemon. But if you're doing a 10-pound batch, you just zest 2 lemons, and you just use the peel, the outside, the zest. All right, so there is my ingredients for my bratwurst. So we're just going to whip it up just like we did with the Polish. Mix the eggs in there. Look how nice and creamy that is. And it smells so good because you can smell the nutmeg and the mace and all the good stuff in there. So once I think I got that mix really good, and I think I do, like I say, KitchenAid or a Bosch or some kind of mixer is great if that's what you want to use. But this works really good, and this is the old-fashioned way. Don't need a bunch of tools to do that. So I'm going to make sure there's no lumps in there, and we'll be right back, and we're going to finish up the sausage. All right, we're back. We're going to finish this up now. So we've got all our spices mixed up, and we want to work quick. So I just took this out of the fridge. I can't say enough how important it is that every step you do, make sure that your food is back in the fridge. If you do one step, stick it back in the fridge. Just keep it cold as possible. It pays off later because if the meat heats up too much, or even the spices like the ice water, what can happen is you can get a lot of, it's called melt, where the fat melts into the meat, and it doesn't stay cold and it won't stick together properly, and you get a sausage that is just undesirable. Texture is terrible. I know when you look at me, it's hard to believe that I'm a fussy guy, but when it comes to food, but I'm super fussy, and so this is why I wanted to give you that little tidbit. It's very important to know that, or else, like I say, you can have some really strange texture, and I hope you never have that happen to you. It happened to me because I didn't have anybody teach me, so that's why I'm teaching you this. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm poking holes with my fingers so that this way when I do spread the spice in there, it's actually going to go everywhere in there. So what I'm going to do now is this is the Polish sausage. Thank you, my assistant, Marty. He looks after me really, really well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get all this goodness out of there. So what I'm going to do, because now I got gloves on, you could use a spatula to do it, but I'm actually going to get my hands in there. So I might as well just use my gloves as my spatula. And these are non-latex gloves. You don't want to be wearing latex gloves with powder and stuff like that. These are non-powdered. Is that what you call them, Monty? What's the proper term?
Yeah, the latex ones are usually powdered to make them easier to get on.
Yeah, these are non-powdered. You don't want to be using powdered gloves.
Well, you don't like talc in your sausage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly why I don't want to do that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I could get a little more, there's a little trick after. I'll show you how to get the rest of that. So now I'm just going to get in there with my gloves. You could use your bare hands. There's nothing wrong with that. Bare hands works great, but for myself, I prefer to keep my hands clean. And I just find it better to get in there with your hands. And all I'm doing, it gets very cold, by the way. This is where if you have somebody else to spell you off with another set of gloves, you really appreciate them very, very much, because this gets cold. And what you can do too, I've done this, I've doubled up the gloves, even tripled them, and it works really well. So what I'm doing is I'm just blending the spice, and I'm also quickly squishing the meat. But I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can so the meat can't warm up. You want to keep it so cold. That's why the ice water is so important. And you can see it's starting to really stick to me. That is very desirable.
It doesn't look desirable.
No, it doesn't yet. Oh, I wish you could smell the garlic. Smelling great. But you need that texture in your sausage. It has to be sticky, or else you get a crumbly sausage that doesn't hang together. And I'm working very quickly because I don't want to spend much more time than this. And now that I know that I got everything mixed really well, I'm just gonna show you one time again. I know, it doesn't look that great yet, but you wait. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make a little patty. We're gonna try this out, make sure it's good. We'll be right back with how to finish the bratwurst. And so this is the bratwurst we're doing. Same idea. I've got the same size tub. I'm gonna just stick my fingers, make a bunch of holes like I did. It's a really good way to do it. Yes, you could mix the spice directly into the meat and grind it that way. I've done it that way several times, but I prefer this way for a lot of reasons. It's hard on your grinder, grinding the spice syrup, and it dullens your blades real quick. This is actually, to me, just a better way for me. It's not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just a way, and a good way. Best way for me. And you won't be able to argue with the taste.
So everybody's invited over to see this after.
That's it. You get first taste test here, Monty.
Yeah.
So Monty and I were gonna fry up a couple of patties after, one of the Polish and one of the bratwurst. So what we're doing now is just getting right back in there, just like we did before. And you can see the cream getting into the sausage. And what we're doing too is we're going to leave this sausage overnight and finish the video tomorrow, because I like to let the flavors meld right through before putting them in casings. Now, that's not really necessary, because as you can see, when you add fluid like this, it absorbs into the meat very quickly. So the spice is in there pretty good already, but I just find it sets a little better, and it tastes better. So that's why I do it that way. And we are just seconds away, Monty, to sampling some brats.
It's not like you haven't tried a few different versions of this before.
No, that's right. So this is my own recipe, and the recipe I'm going to show you is from a book. It's not my recipe, that one, but it's very good, and I've made it before, and you'll love it. And you talk nice to me, I might give you a couple other tips in the future. But as you can see, look at how tacky that is. And so the reason for the cold ice water, like I said before, so you don't get any fat smear. That's the actual term for it. Cold fluid keeps it very, very tacky. And this is going to make beautiful sausage. It'll be hard to squish it out of there without it being like this. Like it's just a real sticky mess right now. But that's exactly what I want. And so we come to the end. I'm going to put this in the bowl, and we're going to fry up a couple of more patties and maybe a couple cold beer, Marty.
Now that sounds like a better idea.
Okay, let's do that.
It's not a German sausage if you don't have a beer with it.
No, you have to, yes.